In this video, I just want to peek underneath the hood of the shapefile because this is something that can be a little bit confusing when you first start working with shapefiles. So the reason why we are working with shapefiles rather than a geopackage or something else is that this is the main delivery system for for moving information from QGIS to Earth Engine. So shapefiles are, I call them like the gondola that we're going to use to kind of to move packets of data from Q into Earth Engine and from Earth Engine back into Q. What is confusing about shapefiles is that when you look at them in Q, if you go to your directory where you've stored them, you'll likely see them represented as a single file. This hello shapefile dot shape is how it's going to be kind of reported to you in your browser. Funny thing is, should you go into something like Finder or Windows Explorer and go into where you stored that data, you'll see that it really isn't a single file. In addition to the dot shape, there's a bunch of other files that QGIS seems to make when you make a shapefile. So let's talk about these a little bit. The dot shape is really there, right? It's there, and it's actually on your drive as well. And it's probably going to be one of the larger files that are have the same name. And this thing represents the geometry. So the idea is that the shapefile is going to be it's like a cooperative of files where each file has a certain role to play in storing vector as a table. And so the shape stores the geometry data. And so for the um, the polygons that we drew here and that we stored in the shapefile, those coordinates are being stored in this shapefile. The PRJ is the projection information. So the fact that we're working this EPSG 3857, the pseudo Mercator, that coordinate reference system is stored in this PRJ file so that the coordinates that we're storing know where on the surface of the Earth they're actually representing. The DBF represents the attributes. So the DBF is where this table of of ID, name, scale is being stored. Is that fair? So the attribute data that's linked to the geometry is stored in the DBF file, this one. And then the fourth thing that you need is the SHX, which stores the spatial indexes of the features. And the indexes are used to speed up the queries and other kind of the spatial queries that you use to filter and select rows of the table. Is that fair? So there's also these other ones, but I'm not going to worry about them because the ones that are going to be important are there's just four of them: the DBF, the PRJ, the .shp, and the .shx. And you should write those four extensions down. When you're working with a shapefile, the four essential files that contain the information are the .shx, the .shp, the .prg, and the .dbf. Is that fair? And the next thing that you should know about shapefiles is that, did I just close those? So I'm going to save this um, project and I'm going to close this project. And then I'm going to go through, there's close, sorry, I'm getting a little tired. And I'm going to bring this guy back up. And so let's say I do something kind of funny, like I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call this my hello vector folder. Hell vector, sorry. Oof, it's too late for me to redo this, and maybe you guys think that's more appropriate, but no, I'm more friendly. Hello vector. And so then I'm going to grab all of these guys and put them into this thing. right? So just changed, just tidied up a little bit. The data is still all stored there. It's just, it's now in that subfolder. So now if I go and try to open up, sorry, I don't need to see you. And so open recent hello QGIS. It's going to say handle the unavailable layers. And I'm going to just say, all right, keep them for now. And but as a result, it's not going to be able to show it, and there's going to be this little kind of grumpy thing over here, which just says we don't know where this data is, and we can't find it. And so the point that I'm trying to show here is that the project is saved as a separate thing from the file. Like the files aren't, the layers here aren't saved within the project. And in that way, it's different than Earth Engine, where we always have our data kind of saved within our script, and that's all we have to worry about. Here, the project in QGIS is more like a playlist, where the songs are kind of separate files, and the playlist just points to them. So when you get if you get into the situation where it can't find your files, but you think that your files are still on your local drive, you can go to repair the data source and then go help QGIS find them, um, and click on just the shape, and it should be happy and restore itself. Is that fair? So those are the kinds of two things about shapefiles. It's actually a cooperative of files all working together to create this kind of tabular format of vector storage, or it's something that I'm going to describe as a tabular format of vector storage, even though as we just saw, it's actually a bunch of different files that are all kind of networked together. And the other thing is the problem that um, your uh, your project is just a pointer to the files, and it points to where the data are and just and stores how you want to symbolize them, and that's all really a project is. But the project does not contain the files of the data. Is that fair? Okay, so I'm going to call it good. I'll do one last yeah, I'm going to do one last video about like what you can drop.